3 years ago, I found myself in a situation that would change my life forever. My name is Clara, and I'm a 36-year-old woman who once believed in the sanctity of family and loyalty. I was married to my husband, Mark, a 41-year-old man with a good heart but a tendency to overlook the flaws in his family. Our marriage was generally happy, but it was marred by the complexities of his family dynamics, particularly with his brother, David, and his wife, Rachel. 2. The family dynamics. Mark and I had been married for nearly a decade. While we had our share of challenges, we always managed to work through them together. Mark's family, however, was a different story. David, my brother-in-law, was married to Rachel, a woman who had a reputation for being charming but was often self-centered. Rachel was a stay-at-home mom to their 2 children, and Mark adored his nieces, often showering them with affection. Despite my reservations about Rachel, I tried to maintain a cordial relationship with her. I loved the kids and wanted to be a positive influence in their lives. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off in their household. Mark often dismissed my concerns, insisting that Rachel was just going through a phase. 3. The turning point. About 5 years ago, I took a break from my job to focus on my mental health. My previous workplace had been toxic, and I needed time to recover. Mark was supportive, encouraging me to take the time I needed. We had always kept our finances separate, contributing to a joint account for shared expenses. I felt confident that I could manage my part until I returned to work. However, 3 months into my hiatus, Mark began acting strangely. He would get upset when I suggested ordering takeout or buying something new, even if I was using my own money. This was out of character for him, and I couldn't understand why he was suddenly so controlling about finances. After several attempts to address the issue, I finally confronted him. Reluctantly, he admitted that he had been gambling and had lost a significant portion of our savings. I was devastated. The man I trusted had put our financial future at risk, and I felt betrayed. 4. The fallout. As I delved deeper into our financial situation, I discovered that we were on the brink of bankruptcy. Our house was at risk of foreclosure, and I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I immediately sought help for Mark, encouraging him to enter a treatment program for his gambling addiction. I also began applying for jobs, desperate to restore our finances. Despite my anger and hurt, I focused on rebuilding our lives. I reached out to David for assistance, knowing that he had the means to help us. However, Mark refused to ask for help, insisting that he could handle it on his own. I was frustrated by his pride, but I didn't give up. Eventually, I called David and explained our situation. To my relief, he agreed to help us. But when I told Mark, he reacted with anger, accusing me of emasculating him. I was shocked. Instead of being grateful for the support, he was more concerned about his pride. 5. The breaking point. Over the next year and a half, we worked hard to pay back David and get back on our feet. But the tension between Mark and me grew. I wanted to move forward, but he seemed stuck in his shame and anger. I lost all respect for him as a partner. The dreams we had for our future felt shattered. During family gatherings, I noticed a growing tension between David and Rachel. I couldn't help but worry about their relationship, especially after Mark's gambling issues. I expressed my concerns to Mark, but he dismissed them, insisting that everything was fine. One day, I decided to visit Rachel to drop off some treats for the kids. When I arrived, I noticed that Rachel was acting strangely. She seemed anxious and rushed me out the door. Something felt off, and I decided to wait in my car to see what was going on. Suddenly, I saw a man leaving the house, and Rachel was escorting him out. My heart sank. I realized she was cheating on David. I felt a mix of anger and betrayal. I wanted to confront her, but I hesitated, unsure of how to approach the situation. 6. The dilemma. I rushed home to tell Mark what I had witnessed, expecting him to be shocked or angry. Instead, he asked if I had told anyone else. When I said no, he let out a sigh of relief and urged me to keep it to myself. I was taken aback. How could he prioritize Rachel's reputation over his brother's well-being? I insisted that I couldn't stay silent while David was being deceived. Mark argued that we didn't know the full story and suggested that Rachel might have a valid reason for her actions. I felt a wave of frustration wash over me. Mark, this isn't just about her. It's about David. He deserves to know the truth, I argued, but he remained adamant. He proposed that we should mind our own business and let them handle their relationship. I was torn between my loyalty to David and my husband's insistence on staying out of it. 7. The confrontation. After days of internal conflict, I decided I couldn't keep this to myself any longer. I called David and asked to meet. When we sat down, I hesitated, but I knew I had to tell him what I had seen. I explained everything, from Rachel's strange behavior to the man I had seen leaving their house. David was visibly shaken, and I could see the pain in his eyes. I suspected something was off, but I didn't want to believe it, he admitted, his voice trembling. Thank you for telling me, Clara. I need to confront her. As David left, I felt a mix of relief and dread. I had done the right thing, but I knew it would cause a rift in my marriage. When I returned home, Mark was furious. He accused me of ruining their family and insisted that I had no right to interfere. 8. The fallout. The days that followed were tense. David confronted Rachel, and their marriage unraveled quickly. I felt guilty, but I also felt justified in my actions. Mark, however, was not on my side. He became increasingly distant, and our arguments escalated. He blamed me for the fallout, insisting that I had destroyed his brother's family. As the weeks passed, Rachel's infidelity became public knowledge, and the family was thrown into chaos. David moved out, and the kids were caught in the middle. I tried to support him, but Mark's resentment towards me grew. He felt betrayed that I had acted without consulting him first. 9. The breaking point. One evening, after another heated argument, I realized that our marriage was crumbling. Mark's gambling had already put a strain on our relationship, and now this betrayal had pushed us to the brink. I felt like I was living with a stranger. I had lost all respect for him, and I couldn't see a way forward. I decided to take a step back and evaluate my life. I reached out to a therapist, seeking guidance on how to navigate this tumultuous time. Through therapy, I began to understand that I had to prioritize my own well-being. I couldn't continue to sacrifice my happiness for a man who refused to take responsibility for his actions. 10. The decision. After months of turmoil, I made the difficult decision to file for divorce. I realized that I deserved better than a life filled with deceit and resentment. I sat down with Mark and explained my feelings. He was devastated, pleading with me to reconsider, but I stood firm in my choice. I can't live like this anymore, Mark. I need to find my own happiness, I told him, my heart heavy with the weight of my decision. 11. Moving forward. The divorce process was challenging, but I felt a sense of relief as I began to reclaim my life. I focused on my career and my mental health, surrounding myself with supportive friends and family. I also maintained a friendship with David, who was slowly rebuilding his life after the fallout with Rachel. As time passed, I found strength in my independence. I learned to trust myself again and to prioritize my own happiness. I realized that loyalty to family should never come at the cost of my own well-being. 12. Conclusion. Reflecting on my journey, I understood that sometimes doing the right thing can lead to unexpected consequences. I had lost my marriage, but I had gained a deeper understanding of myself and what I wanted in life. I was no longer defined by my past or the mistakes of others. I was Clara, a woman who had fought for her happiness and was ready to embrace whatever came next.